9, 3rd District.
Madam Chair, before I make a motion on this, this is the request for a resolution that would have brought to a vote of the county council to open the federal subpoenas that were delivered to St. Louis County. Obviously, at this point, we do know that Dr. Page did ask the county councilor decided to open the records, and they were released last night. So before I, like I said, make a motion, I just have a question for the county executive, Madam Chair, if you don't mind.
Councilman Fitch.
Mr. County Executive, can you verify for the council and the community if these 3 subpoenas that were released are all of the subpoenas that St. Louis County received? Are there any others out there?
Well, Councilman, you probably know that St. Louis County receives subpoenas on a daily or weekly basis. The police department receives subpoenas. The county council clerk receives subpoenas on a regular basis. I think what you really want to know about are federal subpoenas, and you'd have to direct that question to the county counselor. It's my understanding that these are all of the federal subpoenas, at least related to the topic in front of us. I don't believe there are any more federal subpoenas, but you really should ask the county counselor that.
Okay. And one last thing is, during this investigation, as we now know, this has been going on since last fall. That's when the first subpoenas were received. And for whatever reason, you decided, the county counselor decided not to let the council in on that. So my last question for you about this is, were you interviewed by the federal authorities or anybody in county government as far as employees, past or present, related to these 3 subpoenas that were released?
You know, Councilman, these subpoenas are about small businesses. I didn't know what the businesses that were involved until yesterday. But I didn't talk to anybody about this stuff. Didn't know anything about this until the indictment came down. We get subpoenas all the time. We don't get subpoenas from federal authorities very often, but my direction and advice to the county councilor is to cooperate with the U.S. attorney and work cooperatively with them and protect the integrity of the federal investigation. And that appears to be what happened here.
I want to make sure I heard you right. Did I hear you say that you did not know these subpoenas existed until yesterday?
No, I did.
Yeah, I mean, if I misunderstood you, please let me know.
No,
Because you said you didn't know until yesterday.
no, Councilman, that's not what I said. I said the content of the subpoenas. I didn't look at them. The county counselor told me back in September that she had received subpoenas about the small business, what appeared to be the small business relief program that had been initiated through the county council and that we helped with. And she told me she was going to provide the information to the U.S. attorney and would work cooperatively with him. And I thought that was a great plan.
Okay. Any reason why you didn't fill us in?
Yeah, it says very clearly on the subpoenas. You've seen federal subpoenas before. You know the blanket statement. You know very well what it says. It says that these are required to be confidential to protect the integrity of the investigation. And Beth told me that these were supposed to be confidential, and I agreed with her to work cooperatively with the federal government and follow the direction of the U.S. attorney and not interfere with the investigation. And that's exactly what she did. When his advice changed last week and he gave a different direction to follow the state law and use the discretion of St. Louis County, that was different guidance than we'd had in the past year. And so Beth researched the state law, and within a few days, these subpoenas were released.
So back in 2019, when subpoenas were delivered to St. Louis County under the Stenger administration, you obviously felt differently because you released them immediately, right?
Well, Councilman, you're comparing, apples and hand grenades. The 2019 subpoenas were about wrongdoing at the highest levels of county government. It was about the continuation of county services. It was about the transition of authority, and people went to prison. The subpoenas over the last year are about 14 or 15 small businesses out of thousands of applications who the federal government was requesting information about. And it was a small fraction of the applications. in the small business program. And we don't know which of these small businesses, if any, did anything wrong. But, the county councilor followed the protocol, and it was much different than 3 years ago.
Well, I don't think it was. I was here 3 years ago, read the federal subpoenas 3 years ago. We did not, nobody had been charged or indicted when we received those subpoenas. So we didn't know exactly who then was the
Oh,
target.
Councilman, you're comparing two completely different things, and it's, I appreciate what you're doing and I appreciate what you're trying to do, but nobody's going to believe that those subpoenas from 2019 weren't clearly about wrongdoing at the highest levels of county government. They named people, they named well-known associates of the county executive. Everybody knew what was going on with those subpoenas, and it was about the highest level of county government, and it was appropriate. The county councilor at the time decided it was appropriate to share that with the chair of the county council. Otherwise, we follow very closely the instruction of the U.S. attorney on the front of these subpoenas, and it says very clearly that these are confidential, and not treating them confidentially will interfere with the grand jury proceedings. You know that. You've seen these before.
They look exactly like the subpoenas we received in 2019. Didn't mention specific names of targets of the investigation. And here's the journal from then. I pulled it up, and this is a quote from you, Chairman Page. I certainly believe this serves the public interest to have the subpoena out in front of our residents and other county employees to view. I think it's the only way that it protects the certainty that the county is in full compliance. And that was before the vote was taken to release them.
Yeah, Councilman, again, you're comparing two completely different situations when these subpoenas say very clearly on the front that that confidentiality is required to protect the
So did the
integrity
2019.
of the federal investigation. The difference in 2019 was that it involved wrongdoing at the highest levels in government. It was clear by the nature of those subpoenas that that's exactly what was going on. These subpoenas are about 14 or 15 small businesses that applied to the small business relief program. It's about something completely different.
I happen to disagree, but that's okay.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
And everyone who's watching this will sort through it, see it for what it is, and make their own decision.
I agree. So, Madam Chair, at this point, I'd like to hold this on the order of business.
So ordered. Item number 10, 4th District.
Receive, file, and the